What's up, friends and family? I welcome you back to the channel once again. We're going to get right into it. Skeletal remains found by a work crew in Texas are those of a mother who went missing nearly 4 years ago. This is what officials say. On Tuesday, Panola County Sheriff Cutter Clinton said the remains were positively identified as Lauren Thompson, who went missing in January 2019. Skeletal remains were found in a wooded area by a work crew in July, and forensic anthropologists have been working for months to identify them. Clinton said the remains were ultimately identified through dental records.
A new plea to find an East Texas woman who went missing 2 years ago this Sunday. Lauren Thompson, a mom of 3, suddenly disappears on January the 10th, 2019.
Now, let's be clear and let's be fair on all four corners. A lot of the blogs and a lot of the county residents think the authorities had something to do with a cover-up.
Desperate for a break in their daughter's case, Gregory and Tori Corbin recount the bleak voicemail from a Panola County sheriff, a message that turned their life upside down.
And I said, well, ma'am, the reason we're calling is because she was on a 911 call, and the call ended abruptly, and we have her missing.
Let's rewind to the day before. Moments before she vanished, Lauren Thompson called her mother.
The day she contacted my wife, just immediately prior to the 911 call, she was
excited, but still lucid and able to reason.
Then, just 7 minutes later, everything changed. Lauren dialed 911 for help from somewhere in a densely wooded area called Rock Hill in Panola County.
She believed that someone may be chasing her. She was unable to tell us if she actually saw anybody chasing her or if she could hear anybody chasing her.
The investigation would now shift from a missing persons case to a death investigation.
After 22 minutes, the call ended when her phone battery died. She was never heard from again.
From the tape, being a mother and father, we are able to really come to a conclusion that there was something certainly very wrong.
And while in the process of fighting some obstacles, Lauren's parents tell me the day she disappeared, Lauren shared with them that she was seeking help.
No matter how she might be struggling or how she might need help, she would have given the shirt off her back to someone who was in need.
Her parents describing their daughter as compassionate and a caring mother with 3 children, now 5, 7, and 11, who still ask about her. Her parents leaving us with these somber yet crucial final words.
If she's been held against her will, the people that are holding her, if this is the case, and have a little compassion.
And while a lot has changed since Lauren's disappearance, one thing remains: hope for her return. Sarah Allegre, KETK
Gotten
News.
national attention today, one that started under very unusual circumstances, mind you. Panola County officials began searching for Lauren even before she was reported missing. Thompson called 911 from somewhere in the densely wooded Rock Hill area of Panola County. Sheriff Kevin Lake tells us that the call lasted around 20 minutes, saying Thompson was genuinely afraid someone was after her. Eventually, the call ended and officers were able to track her phone call, searching that heavily wooded area you see there on your screen. And in the coming days, authorities found her car, then later her shoe, but then nothing else.
There's a couple things that we hope happens is one, that property owners or those that have access to the property find something. You know, in excess of 2,000 acres searched on foot and approximately 9,000 acres that have been searched by air. And then also we hope that somebody that may have known something or knows something now that hasn't spoken up will come forward and do so.
Sheriff Lake says Thompson's family is painfully waiting for some sort of closure 1 year later and asking for anyone with any information that might lead to answers to come forward. The sheriff says her bank accounts and phone records have remained untouched since her disappearance. Thompson's 3 children, ages 3, 5, and 9, are all living with her mother in Fort Worth currently. Reporting in studio, Trent Bennett, KETK News.
The closure the family of Lauren Thompson never wanted to have, but needed to know.
The anthropologists have determined through multiple dental comparisons that the remains are those of Lauren Elizabeth Thompson.
In 2019, in the dense woods of the Rock Hill area, Thompson called 911 for help. For 22 minutes, she was in a state of panic, saying someone was chasing her but didn't know who. In the midst of talking to the dispatcher, her phone died. That was the last time someone ever heard from her.
Thompson went missing in the Rock Hill area of Panola County on January 10th, 2019.
And unwanted answers finally began to arrive this summer. After a work crew found human skeletal remains, they were sent for testing, and after DNA extraction,
we are now able to announce that a positive identification has been made of the skeletal remains recovered in Panola County this past July.
Lauren's father, Gregory Colvin, says the family is still waiting for final answers, but expresses his appreciation in a statement saying, "Our family would like to reiterate our deepest gratitude for the love and intercessory prayer and support demonstrated by many in bringing Lauren home."
Our office will be diligent on pursuing all relevant investigative leads.
The sheriff also encourages everyone to be in prayer for the mourning family as they're desperate for answers.
The investigation will now shift from a missing persons case to a death investigation. Clinton said again. Thompson, a mother of three, made a 911 on January 10, 2019, saying she was in the woods, thought someone was chasing her. Authorities say that was the last time she was heard from. Investigators were able to use a cell phone tower ping to determine where the call came from and search the area. Her vehicle was found stuck in a nearby ditch, but there was no sign of Thompson, who was 32 years old at the time. Panola County is located in eastern Texas along the Louisiana border.
What happened to their daughter?
Her maiden name is Colvin.
News.
Her nickname is Lolo. She has been missing since January 10th of 2019.
This episode retraces Lauren's last known location, which was near Farm to Market Road 1794 and an oil gas company lease road off of CR 267 near Beckville.
There are thick woods and open fields with farmhouses in this area.
Unfortunately, this area had experienced heavy flooding just prior to Lauren's disappearance.
This location is approximately 10 miles north of where Lauren lived in Carthage, Texas. Carthage is a city located in East Texas and the county seat of Panola County. Carthage is 150 miles southeast of Dallas and near the Louisiana state line. Its population is about 6,500. And now a brief description of the case.
While most missing persons are reported to police after a loved one realizes they are missing, Lauren's case is different. Police were en route to find her before she had even disappeared. Lauren's case is different. Police were en route to find her before she had even disappeared.
Check it out. They pinged her cell phone and found the car in a ditch near where her remains were found. Doesn't sound like they looked very hard in the last 4 years. Stop the lies. They definitely dropped the ball with this case. If she was found in the same area, what the hell did they stop looking for her for if she told them she was in danger? Who would leave a woman in the woods and she telling you someone is behind her? They should have got the damn dogs out to look for the woman. This was certainly irresponsible behavior from the police. Now, y'all relax and don't try to stone me for saying this, but she was followed and she was killed. Because some people in Panola County think she's of no importance. They're not going to try to find out how she was killed or who killed her. Might bring out some surprising but not surprising results, you know what I mean?
The mother of three called 911 on the afternoon of January 10th in distress. She was saying she was in a wooded area and thought someone was chasing her. But her cell phone died during the call. Law enforcement officers were not able to find her in the Rock Hill area where her cell phone had last pinged her location, although they did find her vehicle.
Numerous widespread law enforcement searches of the woods where she was last reported to have been have not turned up a whole lot of evidence. This is according to Panola County Sheriff Kevin Lake. But his office continues to investigate the case and hopes they can figure out what happened.
Lauren is described as sweet, caring, and hardworking, and these are the words that come to mind from Ruth. The two went to church together at the Faith Assembly of God in Carthage.
From her Facebook photos, it looks like Lauren loved being with her kids, doing outdoor activities like fishing and visiting Lake Miraval, campground, and marina.
Her date of birth is April 17, 1986. She was 32 when she went missing. Her current age is 34 years old.
She is described as a Caucasian female, 5'4" to 5'5", 135 to 190 pounds.
At the time of her disappearance, she was wearing a dark-colored, hooded sweatshirt and dark-colored pants or leggings.
Lauren has brown hair, brown eyes, and her ears are pierced. She has eyeliner tattooed on her eyes and a tattoo of a large butterfly on her lower back.
Her family members listed on her Facebook page are Tori Colvin, her mother, Lauren's father, G.W. Colvin, and a brother, Greg Colvin.
She has two aunts, Shannon and Christy, three cousins, Regina, Cassie, and Alyssa.
Then again, who knows? Maybe she got into a single car accident. Her car ended up in a ditch. She gets out the car, possibly has a concussion, wanders into a wooded area, assuming it's near the car, and maybe some psycho saw the event unfold and took advantage of the situation, started following her into the woods, and sadly, this is the end result. But who knows, you know? Maybe she was disoriented. This could be the result of a medical condition. She got disoriented, ran into a ditch, and went into the woods. In her disorientated state, she got out, got lost in the woods, and died. Or perhaps they just dropped the fucking ball. Had the police department taken this case more seriously, she might still be alive, clearly. At the least, other professionals say they should have did a 5-mile grid search. You know what I mean? But for the most part, this case ain't over. It just switched over to homicide and murder. And there's no statute of limitation on murder or homicide in the state of Texas. Just keep that in mind. They let that body rot. They left it out there long enough so it can decompose and destroy, allegedly, any type of evidence to help solve this case.
Lauren has 3 children and has been married twice. She was in the process of getting a divorce at the time of her disappearance. She says she is separated on her Facebook page.
Lauren went to Palestine High School in Palestine, Texas. She lives in Carthage, Texas, which is about 90 miles west from where she grew up in Palestine.
She had no workplaces to show on her Facebook page, but previous posts indicated she worked in a nursing home at one time.
Her parents lived 200 miles away in Fort Worth, Texas.
Now let's get into the timeline. Lauren's last post on her personal Facebook page was December 16th, 2018. She posted, "Merry Christmas." This was about 3 weeks before she went missing.
January 4th, 2019. KSLA News reports Beckville's flood stage for the Sabine River was at 26 feet.
And the current stage was 27.3 feet. So the area where Lauren's car was located had heavy rain prior to her disappearance.
January 10th, 2019, a Thursday, the day of her disappearance. Prior to her phone call to her mother and 911, according to CBS 19 News, Lauren was hanging out with a group of friends on a property in Panola County.
Sheriff Lake also told CBS 19 News that there was horseplay between Lauren's vehicle and another vehicle.
And according to Bring Lauren Thompson official Facebook page, at least 3 other persons were confirmed to have been with Lauren minutes before she ran off into the woods. However, due to multiple discrepancies in the various witness statements, it remains unclear as to what actually transpired that afternoon.
An unofficial report stated it was determined a male was in the car with Lauren. 2 females were in the other car. The older male lived close by. He died of an illness in May 2019.
And here's the report of what occurred that day from the Bring Lauren Thompson official Facebook page.
At 1:53 p.m., Lauren called her mother, Tori Colvin. According to Tori, her daughter seemed a bit distressed and wanted to speak with her children, whom they were caring for at the time. However, they weren't around to talk at that moment.
The 2 spoke for approximately 7 minutes. Tori stated that her daughter was apologetic to her and her father for past decisions. Tori also remembers Lauren telling her mother how she wished she was as strong as her. Tori offered Lauren some encouragement as they continued to speak.
Tori also reported that Lauren seemed to be arguing with someone who could be heard telling Lauren that she didn't need to be calling her kids right now. According to Tori, Lauren also stated that if she ever got out of this, she was never doing drugs again.
Tori told her daughter that if she was in some sort of trouble, she should call the local police right away. After asking her mother to tell her father that she loved him and was sorry, Lauren ended her call with her mother at 2:00 p.m.
Tori recalls that, though clearly anxious, Lauren was coherent and did not seem to be in any immediate danger, and her tone was nothing like the clear terror that she would later hear when authorities allowed her and Lauren's father, G.W. Colvin, to hear the 911 call.
8 minutes after ending the call with her mother, Lauren called 911. The 911 call lasted approximately 21 minutes before it abruptly ended as Lauren was heard pleading with unknown persons. Despite intense efforts of Panola County dispatches to reestablish contact with Lauren, they were unsuccessful, and approximately 20 minutes later, the phone sent out the last ping before apparently losing power.
Using cell phone tower pings, dispatchers were able to locate a general area of where Lauren was calling from. Officers dispatched to Beckville found her vehicle slightly off the roadway of an oil gas company lease road off of CR 267. This is accessed via FM 1794 west of Rock Hill.
And that concludes the official Bring Lauren Thompson Facebook page post on what occurred that day. As we piece the rest of the timeline together, we use news articles.
According to Panola County Sheriff Kevin Lake, she indicated she wasn't sure where she was. She wasn't familiar with the area, obviously in distress in the 911 call.
He continues, she thought someone was chasing her. She had not observed anybody, but she felt somebody was with her. She was scared. We could hear background noise, and it was clear she was running.
It was also reported while the 911 operator still had Lauren on the phone, officers were also able to get in touch with people Lauren said she was with earlier in the day.
Sheriff Lake said one person she was with had been in the area reportedly fishing. The friend had been in the car with Lauren when he said she ran off the road.
He said he then told her he was going to walk to his house to get a vehicle to get them out of the mud, but then she took off running into the woods.
They located her vehicle within a few minutes. It was stuck in the mud in a ditch on the side of the road.
The 911 call lasted 20 minutes and has not been released to the public. However, Lauren's parents have listened to the call.
A web sleuth comment from Jexpar stated, "I am an emergency dispatcher, so I know how the 911 system and pinging phones work. Once the phone died, they would have had to call the phone company to get a location, but they would have been given the same location as their equipment showed when her phone died, as the phone had to be powered on."
Sheriff Lake said, an initial search was conducted in the area on foot and also using off-road vehicles. 2 canine teams and a drone were later brought in along with law enforcement remaining in the area overnight.
Temperatures were in the low 40s that night and 51 degrees as a high in the day. As we stated, the area had experienced heavy rains and flooding.
Investigators believe Lauren may have actually been run off the road as opposed to accidentally driving into the ditch. They found paint transfer on her car and on another vehicle.
Another web sleuth comment, "I did drive past where her car was found, just to get an idea of the terrain. It's very hilly and wooded, and wet because of all the rain we've had lately. But only on that side of the intersection there are houses and more open spaces close by in other directions that would seem to be better choices if you were trying to get away from someone."
Another comment, in the woods in East Texas, you have lots of briars and rattan vines, not to mention shrubs. Some parts are impenetrable. On the other side of the road, west, there was a large pasture. Very large, with lots of open areas, barns, and houses.
The comment continues, "To the south, it was less than 1/4 mile to the farm to market road, which was an open area with lots of traffic and houses to go to. Going north would have been difficult because this is where the woods got thick and brush would be, and beyond that, about 5 miles would be the Sabine River, which was very flooded."
January 11th, the next day. The next morning, 3 hours away in Fort Worth, Texas, Lauren's mother, Tori, awoke to missed calls from the sheriff's office.
She says, "Me and my husband called them back and they asked if we had heard from Lauren. I said no. They said they'd gotten a 911 call the day before and she was missing."
Meanwhile, organized search teams were working to find Lauren. Day 2 began with a grid search. Texas Parks and Wildlife and DPS, or the Texas Department of Public Safety, provided a heat-seeking helicopter. They joined in the search.
However, members of the community were not allowed to participate in searches. It was reported at this time that landowners requested only law enforcement search their land.
January 15th, 2019. Ruth McGaughey, her friend, said, "We're just praying for her. I just couldn't understand what was going on. I'm just hoping she's found."
Ruth said she talked with Lauren a couple of days before she was last seen. "We want her home. Her babies need her. Her parents need her. Her family needs her."
"When I see her, I'm going to hug her and never let her go," Shahida Martin, another friend, said.
A couple of days before her disappearance, Elizabeth felt something was off. She just didn't know what to do. She was just worried. I could see it all over her. She just wasn't okay. Something was up with her.
Both friends say she has a history of mental illness and that she's made calls before to the police, scared that someone was after her.
However, in this situation, they believe she didn't plan her escape. She didn't say anything about going anywhere. She didn't come up with a plan of no kind, Elizabeth said.
In an effort to spread the word, Shahida created flyers, organized search parties, and contacted whoever she could who may have a missing piece to this puzzle.
January 16, 2019, a Wednesday, a vigil was held in Palestine at Reagan Park at 6:30 p.m.
January 17th, a week after her disappearance. Teachers and classmates gathered in Palestine by candlelight Thursday night to pray for the safe return of Lauren.
Lauren's friends and old teachers told memorable stories about the good old days. They believe that Lauren will return home safe because she's always been a good fighter.
Thompson's teacher, Donna Parnett, said, "I know that she is okay. She is going to come back. She has been through some hard times, like we all have. She's had some hard times for such a young person, and she has fought her way out, and I believe, whatever this is, she can work her way out of this one."
Another candlelight prayer vigil was held at the Footprints in the Sand Memorial in Carthage that same night at 7 p.m. It was held at the intersection of the Loop and Dixie Lake Road.
January 18th, 2019. That week, grid searches continued spanning out from the vehicle location. More canine teams were also brought in.
The sheriff said, "We have interviewed people she was with that day and got their story. Matter of fact, interviewed them more than once. We're looking to find a clue that may turn us in another direction." He said his top priority is resolution for the Thompsons family.
"We're very open with the family. We're telling them everything we're doing. If she is out there and can hear this report, there's a lot of people that care for you, Lauren."
January 22nd, 2019, 12 days after her disappearance, Panola County Sheriff Kevin Lake said he remains hopeful that Lauren will be found, but so far there's been nothing new that's turned us in a different direction.
Sheriff Lake said an active multi-department air and ground search of the area where Thompson's car was found had ended.
He continued, "We've pretty well covered that area." If she's past there, it's just kind of hard to determine where she would be. We're a little bit handicapped because the river is over its banks as well. These areas out there we can't search.
At this point, Lake said, his office is following up on information and tips it receives, keeping in touch with the Thompsons' family, and getting search warrants for cell phones and social media records to further their investigation.
That just takes a little time because we have to go through the court as well as to get warrants for that information. We've done that, and those have been submitted, and that's really what we're working on right now, and continuing to talk to people that knew her and take statements.
February 27th, 2019. The family posted a $5,000 reward for information leading to Lauren's discovery. They say it's not much, but they want to make sure no one forgets about their little girl.
And here's her dad about the reward.
We offered a modest reward, thinking, well, maybe that would prompt someone to come forward if they had any information.
Officials ask citizens to refrain from assisting with search parties at this time.
March 3rd, 2019, nearly 2 months out, Lauren Thompson's father said, she's either being held against her will or she's not with us any longer.
The not knowing is the worst part for the Thompsons' friends and family. We have no idea. We are not being given any clues or indications to what has happened. This is according to Lauren's uncle, Eric Graham.
That's probably one of the hardest things about this. It's really strange, Thompson's best friend Michelle said. If someone has her, I want them to know that no one will stop looking for her.
And here's Lauren's uncle Eric.
This is just completely against what she would ever do. I mean, it's completely opposite. So I'm not checking on her kids or any family hearing from her. That's not Lauren.
In mid-March 2019, several law enforcement agencies and search and rescue teams were in the area again.
They had a total of 31 searchers on the ground along with 12 canines. They searched an additional 660 acres out there, unfortunately, with no results.
Sheriff Lake told Dateline, one person she was with told us that they had been in the area reportedly fishing, saying their car had run off the road. He said he then told her he was going to walk to his house to get a vehicle to get them out of the mud, but then she took off running into the woods.
The sheriff's office does not have any information that leads investigators to believe someone Lauren was with had anything to do with her disappearance.
April 1st, 2019. Despite the search efforts, investigators say they are no closer to finding Lauren.
We did locate a shoe that we weren't sure was hers, but later we were able to determine it was hers. This is according to Sheriff Lake. He added that since it is such a heavily wooded area, no footprints were found around the shoe.
Since then, we have searched approximately 2,000 acres of heavily wooded terrain and open fields with ground searches and have covered approximately 9,000 acres with drones and helicopters.
Sheriff Lake said authorities believe the 911 call Lauren placed only ended because Lauren's cell phone battery died.
We have nothing to indicate foul play is involved, Sheriff Lake told Dateline, but again, just like anyone being a suspect, we haven't ruled anything out.
Her bank accounts and phone records have remained untouched. Her mother, Tori, is clinging to hope that her daughter is still alive.
Tori told Dateline, she is so loved by so many people. There were 3 prayer rituals in 3 different cities for her from friends and relatives. There are people all over the world praying for her return.
This has to speak on her character. She's such a beautiful person inside and out. Tori added that Lauren's 33rd birthday is coming up on April 17th. I've already been looking at the calendar and dreading it, Tori said. We would always talk on her birthday.
Lauren's 3 children, aged 3, 5, and 9 at the time of her disappearance, are living with Tori, her mom, in Fort Worth, Texas.
April 14th, 2019. Chief Deputy John DePresca said this past week that his office continues to receive leads and tips from the community in the disappearance of Lauren.
Investigators also are trying to search more of the Sabine River area where Lauren was that day, but rain is getting in the way, he said.
There are still some areas out there that are covered in water, and every time we get ready to search those specific areas, unfortunately, we wind up with another inch or 2 of rain.
We haven't finished searching yet, but we're trying to wait until that water recedes so we can actually get in there.
April 17th, Lauren's 33rd birthday.
June 3rd, 2019. Sheriff Lake says wet conditions delayed several search efforts throughout February and March. A 2-day search eventually covered an additional 1,190 acres.
Sheriff Lake says there are no official suspects in the case, but there are persons of interest who have been interviewed. Sheriff Lake says they are the last people who saw Lauren alive. He adds at least 1 polygraph has also been performed.
From what we have right now, there's nothing that directly points to foul play being involved. But I am suspicious. Yeah, absolutely, I'm suspicious. It's hard to understand how somebody can just disappear.
July 17th, 2019, 6 months out. Lauren's mom is frustrated with the investigation. There are a lot of questions surrounding her disappearance.
And here's her mom on CBS 19.
I have asked at least 5 times for them to have another search team come in. I asked for the Texas EQU search team. According to a lady who's been helping me, she's spoken with the landowners, and the landowners say that they would have gladly helped even with the search, that they had no problem with people searching the land.
Regarding the 911 tape, Lauren's mom claimed Lauren said she was being shot at and she was running fast.
Her mom said at the end of the call it was almost like someone had startled her. It was like gasp, and then her phone went dead.
CBS 19 requested a copy of the 911 tapes. However, the Panola County Sheriff's Office declined the release, saying it can be used as evidence later in the investigation.
Regarding searching the property for Lauren, Sheriff Lake explained, the entire area is private property. Even where the car was located is on private property. We have not had an issue with the landowners with law enforcement search teams being on those properties, but they are concerned about people they don't know being there.
Sheriff Lake again confirmed there was paint transfer between the vehicles. He said Lauren and a man were in her car when it went off into the ditch.
The man told her to stay with the car as he was going to walk to his property to get his car and chains to pull it out. Sheriff Lake says when deputies pulled up to his house, they found him doing just that.
At this point, here's Lauren's
mom's belief as to what happened to her.
I don't know what happened to her. I honestly, in my personal opinion, think that there's a ring of several things going on. I think there's like car theft, drug trafficking, and sex trafficking, and I think it's huge.
Lauren's mom said when they brought Lauren's car home, her kids got excited, and they thought Mom was home. I had to tell them no. Remember, Mom's not here. Remember, we can't find her, and they're still looking for her.
June 19th, 2019, a NamUs case was created.
February 12, 2020, 1 year and 1 month after Lauren's disappearance, the Sheriff's Office completed a DNA profile with help from Lauren's family and has gotten that information entered into national databases.
Sheriff Lake said, that helps if remains are found anywhere in the nation, that now we have the DNA profile to go with the missing persons case.
Lauren's dad, G.W. Colvin, said, obviously, not knowing is difficult in this situation. It's especially difficult for Lauren's 3 children, now ages 4, 6, and 10.
It's really difficult to try and explain to them exactly what is going on and what the situation is, he said.
Sheriff Lake said the scant evidence they've been able to gather has not pointed to foul play, although that doesn't mean a crime wasn't
committed.
He also said they don't know if Lauren stayed in those woods or found a road and left the area. We don't know for sure that she didn't make it to the road and get a ride.
We can speculate, but it's not our job to speculate. We're fact finders, and so we have not collected any evidence to make us confirm that foul play is involved. Could there be foul play involved? Absolutely. And that's why we're so concerned about preserving if we find a crime scene.
But Lake said he does not believe that Lauren would decide to disappear and start a new life, because he does not think she would have abandoned her children.
He also said his department does not plan to release the evidence it has collected, such as the 911 call.
We've not released that to the public because it is evidence, and we don't know if we have a crime or not, Lake said. We've been asked numerous times to release the 911 call, and we're not going to do that. Is this because there's something to hide?
No, it's not because there's something to hide. It's because that's one of the only pieces of evidence that we have.
Lake said speculation that gunfire can be heard on the call, or that Lauren got shot while calling 911 is wrong.
That's not the 911 call that I listened to, Lake said. I don't believe that happened. Do I believe that she was in distress? Absolutely.
It was also stated in the official statement released by the family representative Joey Ortega that according to local authorities, it would seem that what was heard did not seem to make sense. And given witness statements that she may have been under the influence of unknown narcotics, authorities weren't sure if what they heard reflected that of a woman in a lucid state of mind or not.
Joey Ortega is a California-based freelance investigative reporter with a background in investigation and intelligence analysis. He is working with Lauren's family on the investigation and acting as their spokesperson.
Mr. Ortega said a lot of the work he's done has been trying to sift through the information that's come in and develop new leads, as well as to clarify conflicting information or statements.
It opened the door to realizing that some people that were initially glossed over might have merited further scrutiny and certain alibis re-examined, he said, noting that the information he gets is passed on to the sheriff's office.
Mr. Ortega is hopeful that Lauren can be found. I have no qualms in saying that there's not anything to say, that I know statistically these things don't always end with the way we would want them, especially as parents.
But setting aside all of the rumors and all the conjecture and innuendo, and looking at some of the leads that they have gone through and some of the new leads that I had developed, not only am I hopeful personally that we can find resolution here, but that there's nothing to say that finding her alive is an impossibility. I have not by no means given up on that.
The unfortunate part about this is we get really far-fetched tips that result from that, Lake said. But we have to check into them, so we're exhausting a lot of time and resources looking into things that we know are very far-fetched.
Ortega said he hopes he can help recenter the investigation after all that chaos, making sure that the Colvin family and the sheriff's office work together.
Baseless theories and speculation push this chaos to places where it need not be, Ortega said.
But a lot of times in a lot of these cases where there's sort of a lot of speculation and rumor and other stuff, I feel like sometimes it's clear that law enforcement sometimes can have a hand in preventing that too by not always holding everything so close to the vest, letting some information out to allow people to understand what law enforcement is doing.
They answer to the public, and most important, they answer to the family.
G.W. Colvin, Lauren's dad, said, "Really, there's not anything other than that. We've really requested that if anybody has any bit of information, whether they think it's relevant or not, they could come forward and submit that to Sheriff Lake and his team so it can be investigated."
Of course, the prayers that have been offered up thus far, and any in the future, they have been appreciated and will be appreciated. We've felt support from the community, and we are very appreciative of everything that has been done locally and by local law enforcement to help locate our daughter.
June 15, 2020. From the official statement released by the family representative Joey Ortega, a $10,000 reward was established and an anonymous tip line. And here's another report from the Bring Lauren Thompson official Facebook page.
Along with Lauren's father, G.W. Colvin, Ortega spent some time in Beckville, Texas to meet with various witnesses and tipsters, walk the scene, and to meet with Texas Rangers and Sheriff Lake, who agreed to allow Ortega to hear the 911 call and to look at various other pieces of physical and digital evidence in order to better understand the efforts made to date and the many challenges faced, as well as offer his thoughts based on his own digital and forensic expertise.
After the pivotal meeting, Ortega also agreed that the 911 call ought not to be released yet. He agrees the recording contains valuable elements that may help later in the investigation. This includes references to landmarks, people, and events. The added insight from that visit also gave the Colvins and Ortega added focus and clarity about where and who to direct their focus, and also sharpen crime reconstruction efforts currently being done.
Through a reanalysis of ping data, statements in the recording timestamps, Lauren's phone and online activity, as well as accounts from some on the scene during initial search efforts, Ortega formed and presented Sheriff Lake with a case for a probable kidnapping.
Through interviews of locals and tipsters, Ortega was also able to uncover false or misleading statements by some who were questioned when the case began. This information was also presented to authorities for further follow-up. Though circumstantial, the case for kidnapping that has recently formed crime reconstruction seems to indicate quite compelling.
The case for and the supporting crime reconstruction for a probable kidnapping is currently being presented to the FBI by Sheriff Lake, along with his own supporting findings.
And now from her mom's Facebook page, which he uses to bring awareness to other missing person cases.
October 4th, 2020. Thank you for not forgetting about her. There are so many missing people, and it seems the ones missing longer get forgotten because it's not current.
I know I've had to step back during virtual learning with the kids, but they will hopefully be back in school by the end of the month where I can have time to work on it. God bless you all for your continued prayers and support.
And then, October 8th, 2020. We are never going to give up on you, Lauren. We will fight to the end. Bring Lauren Thompson home.
So now let's recap. Lauren, the mother of 3 small children, called 911 on the afternoon of January 10th in distress, saying she was in a wooded area and thought someone was chasing her.
But her cell phone died during that call. Numerous widespread law enforcement searches of the woods where she was last reported to have been have not led to finding Lauren.
Her friend Elizabeth stated she felt something was off in the days before Lauren's disappearance. Was there trouble due to her lifestyle choices?
Where was Lauren prior to her disappearance that day? What had she been doing?
Did she hit her head when the car went in the ditch, or when the vehicles exchanged paint? A head injury could cause erratic behavior, as well as if she were under the influence.
One person she was with told us they had been in the area, reportedly fishing, Sheriff Lake said. Were there fishing rods in the car?
Wouldn't it help to allow Texas EquiSearch, family, friends, and the community to search the property at this point? It appears the landowners are willing to cooperate.
Bring Lauren Thompson Home Facebook page. Was created May 27th, 2020. It has 2,669 followers.
There is a disclaimer on this page dated May 31st. Bring Lauren Thompson Home is an organization registered in the state of Texas by the Colvin family.
Any statements or claims made by any third parties on this page represents their own thoughts and opinions and does not necessarily represent those of Bring Lauren Thompson Home. This is according to the Colvin family or their spokesperson, Joey Ortega.
This website was created solely for the purposes of obtaining information helpful to the investigation leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the disappearance of Lauren Thompson.
Lauren has a personal Facebook with 520 friends. Anyone with information can contact the anonymous tip line at 888-411-4491 or contact the Panola County Sheriff's Office at 903-693-0333.